Okay, this is getting started with the Ohio Collection Analysis Initiative. My name is Susanna Gilbert, and I'm a project coordinator with Teaching Books, which is the platform we're going to be using today to do our collection analysis. I'm joined by Erin Kelsey from the State Library, and I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name's Erin Kelsey, and I'm a library consultant at the State Library of Ohio, and I help to facilitate and um, do trainings and kind of manage our access to the Ohio Collections Analysis Initiative. And so this initiative is free to all Ohio library staff. I see a couple people have put where they're from in the chat. Thank you. If you're able to, please do. And also, I'd love to know if you have already signed up, if you've used it before, just to kind of get a sense for who's listening, if you're able. But we wanted to do this specific webinar, just kind of a refresher, getting started for our Ohio Library staff. We host regular webinars in partnership with some other states who also offer this service. And so I'll link to those once I stop talking. Um, but we wanted to have an opportunity for Ohio folks to be in a room together, a virtual room together, or listen to the recording and have Susanna show us the ropes. So I'm excited to be here and to be doing this.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So, our agenda for today, welcome and introductions. We can check off already. I love to not show the agenda till we've done that so we feel successful. It's like writing, make the to-do list on your to-do list just so you can cross it off. We're going to talk a little bit more about what this initiative is um, and what you might do with it. And then we're going to dive into demonstrating how to create and analyze lists on teaching books, and then take a look at how you can use the site to identify, evaluate, and add titles that meet needs you may have identified in your analysis. And then we will have some Q&A for whatever comes up. So, the Ohio Collection Analysis Initiative. This initiative, as Erin mentioned, is paid for by the State Library of Ohio. So this brings ongoing free professional development to all library and school communities in the state. So whether you're with a public library or a school library, academic library, we're providing tools so that you can explore how the books that are being shared in your community address that community's needs. These tools give you data to document the makeup of your collections, determine if they're meeting those needs, and allow you to easily share the results. These tools are intended to be returned to whenever you would like and incorporated into your regular routine. So this isn't a, one report and you're done. Hopefully, this is something that can be relatively easily integrated into the kind of collection thinking that you're already doing in your jobs.
I just wanted to add when we do our
Yeah,
when Susanna does the demo, we're going to share some scenarios where you might be able to get started or scenarios where you can um, get this into your routine. But just like weeding, you don't usually do that like once every 5 years. You're doing that continuously, or you're creating displays or supplemental lists for programming. So we'll show you and kind of share some ideas of how you can use this in your everyday life.
absolutely. Thank you. So the first thing that I do want to mention is that to access the support materials for this initiative and to access the tools on Teaching Books itself, if you are not in a public library or school district that already has a Teaching Books license, you will need to register. So you can go to teachingbooks.net/Ohio registration. You can grab your phone right now and scan that QR code, and that'll take you to our registration form. Um, all that requires is your email address, name, a little bit of information about where you work and what kind of library, just for my own curiosity mostly, so we can see where you're coming from. And then It's not instantaneous. This is a manual registration process. So um, if you register during this webinar, it will not give you immediate access because I'm the only person who processes the registrations. And unfortunately, I can't do both at once. But we do try to get those processed as quickly as we can. And you will get a welcome email with instructions for how to set up your login um, once that registration has been processed. So we'll get to some of the other more specific things that registration will get you in a minute, but just wanted to get that out of the way so that people could start registering if they wanted to right now. All right. Part of this initiative is the support we can provide. So I'll circle back to this at the end of our time here, but I just always like to get it out there early too. If you have any questions at any point, we do not want you to feel like you're alone in this, like you don't have what you need to make this work for you. So anytime you have questions, anytime whether you're running into a roadblock or you're just curious about something or you want to talk about, different ways that you might use this, you can reach out to me at help@teachingbooks.net. You can reach out to Erin at the State Library. You can reach out to both of us and we can figure out who is best equipped to answer whatever your questions are. But please never hesitate to use that. That is part of this initiative. So it is one that we hope you use. All right. So we're going to take a kind of quick overview here of what this process looks like before we really dive into it. The collection analysis tools can hopefully assist you in kind of purposefully reflecting on the titles in your collection, right? So in that, we think it's really helpful, particularly when you're just getting started, to take a look at kind of a smaller collection. So rather than diving in straight away with like a full-scale diversity audit of your entire children's section, maybe taking a small set of titles from a collection or a display. So what might that be? Visible titles in your library. So things like displays that I'm sure you're creating all the time. What do you have on your face out shelving? If you're in a school, what books are in your teachers' classrooms? Or what books are being featured on syllabi or as recommended reading lists? What are you sharing, for your summer reading program this year? If you're in a public library, what books are you reading in story time? What books are you reading with your book clubs? There's a whole bunch of different places where you're making small decisions about what titles you're sharing. And the hope is that with these tools, you can really quickly make more informed decisions or have documentation of the informed decisions that you're already making in those moments. So you'll start by picking that set of titles. You're going to import those into teaching books. So there's a variety of ways to do that we'll talk about, but it can be as simple as scanning a title, as my lovely hand model is doing in these photos. We've got some bulk add options. We'll talk about how all of those work. And then instantly you get a report with a whole bunch of information like this. So it's going to be genre information, cultural experiences represented. What's the balance of fiction and nonfiction here? What's the recency of publication, the median recency of publication? And then a whole lot more that we'll dive into as we switch over to the site here. Before we do, one of the questions that we've been getting kind of more and more is, how can I use these tools? How can my library, this sounds great, but what do we do with it? And just kind of a high level, some things to think about. As I just said, you can review, refresh, and continually affirm for yourself or for your colleagues, your administration, that the titles shared with your community are the ones that you want shared. You can get immediate insights, as we just saw, into the makeup of displays, book lists, featured titles, and part of this initiative, as I mentioned, is that you're going to receive additional guidance and materials to incorporate into collection management routines. So things like these webinars, our support materials you have access to. So this can be an ongoing part of your process. All right, and now we are going to switch over to teaching books, where we're going to spend most of the rest of our time today. Um, you'll notice I am on the Teaching Books for Libraries platform. It's going to be the blue version. Um, judging from the chat, this is a very public library heavy group today, which is not surprising at all for this time of year. And time of day. But we're going to stay on the library platform if you are here and you're in a school district rather than a public library, or if you work in both. You can go to the toggle menu here and you'll see there's a link to visit Teaching Books for Schools. This is our school platform, red version, and you can use all of the tools that I'm going to talk about today exactly the same way on both. So there are minor organizational differences between the two platforms, but everything that I'm going to talk about today will look exactly the same. So no need to worry about that. But we do need to make sure that I am signed in as a professional, or as we call it on the school platform, as an educator. So I'm going to do that. You'll see here it says Welcome Ohio Collection Analysis Initiative, and I want to make sure that it says welcome and my first name. So we're going to go to this toggle menu here, professional login, and then this will allow me to enter a email address. If I had not yet set this up, it would take me to a form to set up my password instead of just asking for the password. And then because I am registered for the Collection Analysis Initiative, I get taken directly to this landing page. So this is going to give you all of the things that you need in one place to get started. So that little overview, some things we just talked about, you can dive right in and start creating a list with this button here. But we also have support materials for you. So we have a handbook. I'm not going to open this right now because it never loads quickly enough while I'm also on Zoom sharing my screen. But it's a slide deck, a PDF of a slide deck with a step-by-step of this whole process. So if you're somebody who really wants to have that, up in one window while you're creating your list in the other, so you can make sure that everything is going along as expected, that's there for you. We've got our quick start guide, which is a simplified version. We've got an FAQ document. This is being updated all the time. And as you ask me questions, it will get even more updated. So, and we also have a sample list analysis report there. And if you scroll down a little bit, you will see that help email address and a phone number so that you can reach out to me if you have any questions or if you need any help. All right, let's take a look at creating a list. So we can just hit this button right here. We can go to your custom reading lists on the left-hand side. We can open our toggle menu and go to your reading lists again. On this page, you're going to see a link back to the Ohio Initiative homepage. You're going to see your state lists. That's fun. Some wonderful Ohio lists there. And then any lists that you created are going to live down here on your custom reading lists page. But we're going to create a new one. And today we're going to talk about, this isn't really any kind of specific list, but it could be anything. This is going to be some middle grade fiction. So maybe this is titles that you have read with your book club, or titles that you're giving to your book club as options to choose from. Maybe this is just a, favorite staff recommendations for summer list. It could be anything that you just want to kind of take a little bit of a look at and see what's going on there. So this will be our, I think it's all middle grade fiction. We'll find out when I start adding titles. And so you do have to save that title before you can add anything to it. So you're saving sort of this list shell before you start adding titles. And then there are quite a few different ways to do that. One of the fastest and most simple, I would say, is that you can just go to this quick add by book title box and type something in. So if we wanted to add holes, we can type that in. If the book we were looking for was not the top result, we could narrow it down further with the author's name. And then you'll see this little plus sign, add to reading list icon, and we're going to select that. It pops up on our list. We're going to save because you always want to save. And now we have one of one titles. If you are dealing with more books and you don't want to just sit there and type each one in, we have a couple of options for searching ISBNs or scanning ISBNs. So if you are using a computer with a barcode scanner, you can simply click into this box here and then scan the ISBN barcode. So not the identifying barcode for your library, but the ISBN barcode, usually on the back of the book, not always. Um, you can put that in, and that's going to pull up the book by ISBN. If you are on a computer that does not have a barcode scanner and you don't have access to one, you can also use a camera. So you can log in on your phone, on a tablet, on a laptop with a webcam, and then you're going to click on this little ISBN search, and it'll ask you to allow it to use your camera. It will not work right now because I'm on Zoom, but you would be able to hold the book up to the camera and it would scan the ISBN the same way and match that. So those are our kind of one at a time options, but we also have bulk add options. To learn more about all of these, you can open each one, click on the link for each one, and it's going to give you more detailed instructions for how this needs to be formatted. So you can type or copy paste a list of titles and authors in here, and it'll tell you what that needs to look like. You can paste in a list of ISBNs, upload a CSV file, and these are going to be the requirements of how the CSV file needs to be formatted, which are a little bit specific. I know we've had some people who have tried to do this. You pull a file from your collection management software, whatever you're using. Often you can get reports out of that in Excel or CSV format. And then they do need to be modified somewhat before you upload them. So that's a great thing to check. If you are still having problems with it after having checked out these requirements, please do email me. I'm happy to help with that. All right. So I am going to paste some ISBNs in so we're not just sitting here watching me add titles one at a time. And because of where I pasted these from, there are spaces between them. And we know from our requirements here that that is not going to work. So we will get rid of those because I forgot to do this before the webinar started. All right, there we go. Import. And now we have 12 additional titles. That happened instantaneously. If I had done this with a bigger list, I might have gotten a different pop-up. So if I imported more than 55 ISBNs at once, very specific number, this would have been added to a queue to import, and I would have gotten a different pop-up that'll tell you, you can see your status on the left here. You'll get an email when it's done, but that happens pretty quickly too, unless you're really adding a lot, and so is everyone else at the same time. Then we might get a little slow, but you can add up to 10,000 titles to a single list. So if you are looking to analyze larger chunks of your collection, that is possible. I just don't recommend doing it right away. It can help to kind of figure out the nuances of the tools before you dive in like that. So right now we're just going to stick with the 13 or 14 titles that we have. Did you have something, Erin? Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, you could even, use one of your summer reading lists or a list from Women's History Month or something you've already done, and then you can just plug it in and see what it will tell you. And
Absolutely.
we're going to show what the tool will tell you in just a minute.
Yes. All right. A couple of quick things here. You'll see we have little X's on the left. You can remove a title. Little edit here. You can add a note to yourself. Those will pop up on the right. Or when we go to view list, here are our books. You will also see the notes you added pop up beneath each book in this view. We've got our filters on the left. We can sort these differently. But what we are looking at today, of course, is our analysis report. There is going to be a little triangle icon for list analysis report here. This is going to be available on any list on the site. So ones you've created, those Ohio state lists we just saw, a recommended reading list from something like School Library Journal, all of those are going to have this option for the list analysis report. But what we want to do today is actually save this report. So that's going to be on the left here with all of our other options. We'll save that, and we want to create a new report. So we'll import that, and there we go. Here's our analysis report. So what do we look for here? A few things to highlight. You'll see you can download all of this as a spreadsheet. You can print out this report if you want to share this information with someone or keep it in your own files. Each report is going to start with an at a glance. So we've got our kind of summary of what's going on with these 14 titles. We know we have 5 genres, 7 cultural experiences, 14 fiction books, and no nonfiction, which makes sense because this is a list titled middle grade fiction. So maybe this is exactly what we want it to be. Maybe this is exactly what we were expecting to see and what we were hoping to accomplish. It's all fiction. It's all going to be kind of in that page count average and word count average that we would expect to see for this grade range of book. We can see we've got 11 award winners, 5 diverse books. Publication year median is 2010. That was a little while ago. Maybe we want to take a look at that. So let's dive in and see what else we have going on. But I always really like to highlight that you are the only person who knows, or maybe you've also got a colleague who knows, but you are the person who knows your community and what you were hoping to accomplish with this particular set of titles. So none of this is intended to be a judgment on what you're sharing. It's all just information. And the questions that I'm always asking myself when I'm looking at these is, what do you notice? What jumps out at you here? What's surprising to you? So as I look through this, I'm going to say, okay, we've got all fiction. That's what I was expecting to see. We've got kind of the grade ranges that I would expect to see, maybe skewing a little younger. Here is our recency and year published. And we can really dive into these. So we can see each year can be clicked on. So we could see we've got a book from 1952, and that's Charlotte's Web. So one of the things that jumped out at me here was that the median publication year was 2010, which is, 16 years ago now. Somehow that might be a little far back. But we can see here that while there are some older titles here, the problem may be more that we don't have anything newer than 2022. So that might be something that we want to explore as we're thinking about what to do with this report. We've got our cultural experience details here, so we can see how many books and what percentage we have for each of these different cultural experiences. There's a classification definitions link here that has some really great information. And I highly recommend diving into that a little bit more if you're interested in learning about how we classify these titles. But if you have any questions, please just let me know. Here's our genre details. We can see we've got some realistic fiction, some science fiction fantasy, but not a ton of different genres. And then our curricular area details might be interesting. And then we have what's not included. So this is going to tell you which cultural experiences and which genres are not currently included in this list. Maybe you're looking to add some new titles. Maybe some of these are areas where you really think, okay, yeah, we do need some stuff to fill those gaps. Again, it's not a checklist, but it's an opportunity to say, oh, I know that my fourth grade readers are really into mysteries right now. And so it's going to be a problem if I'm giving them a list that doesn't have any mysteries on it. Or I know that I have a really big Native community in my area. And I want to make sure that we have some great American Indian books talking about that cultural experience included. Whatever that looks like for you, there's opportunities here to say, okay, these are things I want to prioritize if I'm considering adding more titles. So there are a few different ways to do that. We are going to take a look at a couple of them here. One of them is if you scroll in down a little bit here, there is a built-in tool. So we have filters here that we can identify. So for instance, we could say we're looking for African American because we know that was on our list. We can say we want mystery because we know that was on our list. And then we can pick a grade level here and search. And this is going to give us 44 titles that fit all of those categories. And these are going to be titles that are not already included in the list that we're working from because we came from that built-in tool. Doesn't really matter a whole lot when we're working from 14 titles and we know these were areas where we had gaps. But if you're working on a larger collection, if you've got, 800 titles on a list instead of 14, it's nice to know that you're not looking at things that you've already seen and have on your list. So something to note. We can filter even further here if we want to. There are opportunities to say, okay, we want to make sure we have award-winning titles. Or we know that recency was a bit of an issue with this list. So maybe we want to prioritize titles from the past 3 years, gets us down to 16. And then what we're going to do here is grab some of these and add them to a list. So we've got our little add to reading list here. We could do them one at a time, or we can add multiple titles to a reading list. And we're going to grab a few of these and scroll down, and we're going to add those to a list. And we want to create a new list, actually. We're not going to add them to our middle grade fiction list, but we're going to create a middle grade fiction to add, hit add to reading list, and there we go. We can edit, we can view, or we can keep looking for some other titles. Beyond that built-in tool, we also have the opportunity to use our browse page. So that's going to be linked up here at the top. We're going to open the See All Collections menu. And this is all of those filters laid out as linked collections. So there's a really great opportunity to kind of explore all of the different starting points you might be interested in, see how everything's organized. You're in a room full of librarians. Everybody wants to see how everything's organized, especially when it's books. But these are some starting points for us again. So we can say we know we want some more Latino US and Canada stories included on this list. We can keep filtering. We want a different genre. We want to make sure we have some horror. We want to make sure these are books in a grade level that's relevant to us. And we want to make sure, again, that these are a little bit more recent. So again, now we're down to 5 titles. So that's a great option to really narrow down there. We can grab a couple of these, and then we'll add them. Now we can select that list and add those to our existing titles to add. And you can just keep doing this, right? You can exponentially, of course, always keep going. We could pick a genre from here. We can say we want to look at some historical fiction. We're interested in maybe not a specific cultural experience, but titles that have any kind of cultural experience categorization. And then, of course, just keep on filtering down as we go. Maybe we want titles that have a particular resource. We want to see if we can find any that have book trailers attached. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do this. And then we could select some of these and add them to our list again. All right, so now we're going to look at this list. What do we have here? We can view it. It's got 12 books on it that we just found. And one of the wonderful things about teaching books is that we also have resources for you to be able to find out more about these titles. If these are titles that you are considering for purchase rather than titles that you already have in your library and you just want to add to a list, or if they are titles you already have and you just don't know as much about them as you would like to because we only have so much time in the day. You can't read all of them as much as we might want to. But what you can do is go in here and take a look at some of the resources that we have available for each title. Please, once you've signed up, dive in and explore what we have going on here. But there is one resource that I'm going to highlight today, which is our book resumes. You'll see this linked at the top here. And this is going to be a whole bunch of information about the title in one place. So this has got grade bands pulled from a variety of sources, so you can compare. It's got our teaching books classifications here. You'll be able to see the Library of Congress and BISAC subject headings, which can often give you a little hint into the content. And full text professional reviews. So we all know that sometimes these can be really hard to track down, or certainly hard to track down in one place where you're not trying to remember logins or paying for things or passing around a physical copy of school library journal. But now you have them in one place. So we get reviews from, I think, 8 different sources, and they will all be available in full here. So Publishers Weekly, Book List, Kirkus, Hornbook, School Library Journal, a couple of others, I think. So most of the ones you would expect there.
I just wanted to add that we have some users who really like this feature because they have had to, if they're working with their local school, they might have to provide a list of titles before a library visit, and they can just easily link this book resume for each title. So the administrator or parent can have this information at their fingertips should they need it. And I also think it's a great programmatic tool, resource. So if you're doing a program and it's themed in a certain way, or if it's highlighting, mystery writing or something, you could show a book trailer. Or if you're just wanting to drum up interest in a set of titles, you could show some of the neat resources that are within each title.
Absolutely, yeah.
As a book nerd, it's just kind of
Yeah, they're
cool
just
to
fun.
look through too.
A couple other things we have here. Any awards and distinctions are going to be tracked there. Any selections for state and provincial recommended reading lists. So again, it's just a whole bunch of information in one place. These can be shared out, full report, a one-page summary, all of that there. So we could use these, we could narrow down, we could remove some of these titles from our consideration list. But in addition to, as we were talking about, a way to learn more about books that you might be buying, as Erin mentioned, it's also a great way to learn about books and document information about books, about some of the ones that you already have. Know what's in your collections, have documentation for some of the reasons you might have chosen it. Opportunities to be really proactive about the titles that you're sharing. So what do we do with this? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to save this list analysis report. So we've got our new list here, and we're going to do that save list analysis again. But this time, from our import where dropdown, instead of selecting create a new report, we're going to pick our original middle grade fiction list. And we'll import that. And this is going to give us a version 2 of that original report with the new titles added. So we still have, excuse the scroll, our original report with our 14 titles. But now we have what it will look like if we added those 12, if we brought this up to 26 for this recommended reading list, this display, whatever it is we're sharing. And we can see what impact it would have if we added those titles. So we've got, I think, 4 more genres than we had before. We've got 3 more cultural experiences, still 100% fiction, as we were hoping to see, some more diverse books. We added a graphic novel she didn't have before. We brought up our percentage of award winners, I think. And one of the ones I was working on, we brought up our publication year median by 8 years, which is pretty nice. And our page count average and word count average stayed really close, which is exactly what you want to see in a list where you're not trying to change the like reading level or age range very much. So then we can, keep diving in here. We can see, all right, we brought up our publication year median by adding a bunch of stuff from the last, 3 or 4 years. We didn't have to take out some classics that we had in here, but we were able to kind of shift the makeup of this list by adding rather than subtracting. We can see here we've got a bunch more categories in our cultural experience details. Some of these were ones we weren't even really trying to address. They just popped up as we were finding other books. So that's great to see. We can see we've added some genres there. We've got horror, we've got historical fiction, we've got mystery we added, and we've got some more books that we added to some of the categories that were already there. There's our curricular area, not a whole lot of change, but that's not something that I was really addressing. And then our what's not included lists have gotten a little shorter. They're never going to go away completely, I think, in most lists, because your list of middle grade fiction is really unlikely to have nonfiction for one, but also, alphabet concept books are probably not going to be a priority. So it's just a way to make sure that you're seeing what you're expecting to see. It's a way to double check and confirm that you always can, I feel like when I was a public librarian prior to working for teaching books, and whenever I would make a display or a recommended reading list, I'd be like, yeah, I know what's on here, I know what's in my collections, and then sometimes you put these lists together and go, oh wait, there's this massive hole that I just wasn't even paying attention to, or oh, I could really add some things and shift this in some substantial ways. So it's just a whole lot of information. And the great thing about these kind of merged reports is that you can see this information without having to make any actual changes yet, right? You can see the impact that this would have. And maybe that's because you're using this data for purchasing. You can share it with your admin and say, this is what that is going to impact this is going to have if we buy this particular set of titles. This is what it's going to change. You can share this report with them. You can download it as a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet option has the ISBNs, which is sometimes nice if you are using this for purchasing, or if you're using it to search for titles in your catalog. Maybe you can do ISBN search that way. Helpful information to have. All right. Erin, anything else we want to mention on ways to use this?
I think we've covered a lot of the examples. I just will reiterate starting small
Yes,
because at least for practice, just practice navigating the site because it's intuitive, but as Susanna demonstrated, there's just lots of ways to filter and ways to look at for new titles to add to a list. Um, but we have seen it, spark school and library collaborations, because there are some, teacher supports, teacher resources in there. Um, and lots of programming resources as well.
absolutely. All right. Just a couple of quick things here. Heading back to our slides. This is just if you're interested in visual, if you're a flowchart person, you can see this is kind of a flow of how this process might go, and an example, as I mentioned, of how this is intended to be ongoing, iterative, something you can come back to with different collections or with the same collection again and again. Thank you so much for your time here. Um, as I mentioned, please do reach out. If you have any questions that come up later after today, if you want to know more, please reach out. We have some fall webinars coming up. You can go to teachingbooks.net slash.
I just dropped that link in the
Uh,
chat.
oh, I think that just went to me. I don't think it went to
Oh, nope.
everybody.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
That's okay. I do that all the time. But here is that save the date
Oh,
information.
all my
Um,
links went to just you. Oh my
it's been
gosh.
that kind of day.
Kidoki.
We have 4 webinars coming up. As Erin mentioned, these are in collaboration with some of our other states, but the information, of course, will still be relevant. So August, September, October, November, we're going to be talking about everything from um,
I just did it again.
building on
Sorry.
momentum from America 250 with historical fiction and nonfiction, how to fit this into your busy workday when you just don't feel like you have time. Big lists, as we've been talking about small collections. If you want to talk about big lists, you can come talk about big lists in October. And then reading community, so book groups and book clubs in November. Erin just shared the links to our recorded webinars on YouTube, and that saved the date for fall. So please do explore those, and we hope to see you or hear from you very soon.